close. He lays out and makes the catch.
What is going on, everybody? We're back for another little late episode of the Double Switch podcast. It's been a long couple weeks since we last spoke to you guys. Holidays are hectic. Johnny and I have a lot going on, as I'm sure all of you do listening to this podcast. But we are back, and we have more stuff to talk about. Baseball world kind of calmed down after the winter meetings. I mean, Johnny, everybody signed, it feels like, with the exception of one big fish who seems to be having some trouble sorting out his condition up there in New York, Carlos Correa.
Yeah, we've definitely hit a little bit of a lull with the hot stove. It's not burning hot anymore. It's the really only thing on Twitter I'm paying attention to is this Correa saga, because potentially we could have a lot of really sad Mets fans, and that's a good day for me.
It's been wild how this has gone down. I mean, first off, there was a big shock where we found out he was even going to the Mets. We thought he was a Giant. I was fully, set on that. And then we find out the Mets give him $300 million and their payroll, man. This Mets team, I actually wish we had Dan on afterwards, because this guy's pockets are endless. I can't believe the amount of money that this guy's spending to put a baseball team out there. That's just they essentially added Carlos Correa, assuming this deal goes through. Not much better than last year, but this guy his pockets are endless, absolutely endless.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like it. Like, we've seen the Yankees over the years, and I'm sure you've read about how the Yankees were in the past when we weren't alive. But the Mets just blew right past that threshold of rich teams. Now they're just filthy rich teams, and it's crazy. And I think it's going to cause a lot of controversy come the next CBA. Maybe talk about having a cap finally.
Yeah, he's essentially just blowing up the whole argument the owners have that we don't have the money, because big market teams like the Red Sox are crying broke, and the Mets, who are also a big market team, they're doing whatever they have to do. They essentially turned the team into a hedge fund. I mean, $500 million for a baseball team. I never thought I'd see the day, and I'm 23 and I've already seen the day. So that's our division counterparts. I mean, even with Carlos Correa, this division is still way up in the air. I mean, he's a good player. I don't know if he's $300 million good, but I don't think he moves the needle towards the Mets direction completely. I mean, I think it's still a toss-up even with him.
Yeah, I still think the betting favorite should be the Braves. They just, that's how they are. Doesn't matter what they do in the offseason. They could pick up a random outfielder for $5 million. You could have more of an impact than Correa next year, for all we know.
They did lose Dansby, though. Dansby ended up going to the Cubs, and that's a big loss. That's a solid player. I mean, Dansby's good.
It's another leader too, and one of their best defenders, Freddie and Dansby back to back. That is something to think about when looking at the Braves, but I don't think the Braves are done yet.
Yeah, there's still time. These three teams, this could be like a television show with how entertaining this has been. As for the Phillies, let's get back on track with the Phillies. Taijuan Walker signed since we spoke last. I don't think we covered him yet, did we?
I don't think we have, no.
How do you feel about the money, and how do you feel about the pitcher? I was on Taijuan Walker. That was my pick. I don't know who saw the tweet we sent out where we predicted Turner and Taijuan Walker at the winter meetings. We went 2 for 2. I had the pitcher right, Taijuan Walker. Money, not really even close. He ended up getting
way more,
$4 million more a year. And I was a little surprised seeing he got $72 million, especially as I've seen dominoes fall. I mean, Chris Bassett's getting 20. Tyler Anderson's getting 13. A lot of pitchers are getting between 12 and 14, but we paid up for Taijuan Walker, and it kind of looks like he might be a reclamation project of sorts. He might be somebody we think we can get a little more out of, and that's why we're paying up for him, maybe.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked to see that size of a contract for him, especially after seeing like what Bassett got and like Tyler Anderson got, some of those other guys. But I think the Phillies are just paying for what they project Taijuan Walker to become.
What is that exactly?
I think they expect him because we watched Taijuan Walker come up and play for Diamondbacks, Mariners, a couple squads, and he threw a lot harder when he was younger, more of a thrower. And I think that they're hoping that he turns into more of a pitcher, gets a little more skill, and kind of blends that with his athleticism, kind of like they did with Wheeler. I mean, that'd be great, but Wheeler was like the best case scenario.
Yeah, he definitely has a lower ceiling, but I do think there's more there. He's a top rated draft pick. He was a top prospect for a while, and we've seen stretches where Taijuan Walker can, he puts together stretches where you think he might be figuring it out. He's durable. He's got back-to-back years of 150 plus innings, which is big, especially in the current environment of pitchers, not really giving you too many innings. I thought he was one of the better options out there. He was coupled with Jameson Taillon quite a bit. That was a toss-up for me. I was pretty impartial to which one we signed. I figured it was going to be one of them, but all things considered, I'm not too worried about the extra money.
Me neither. There was a couple of concerns I had. Kind of you said his durability, but he's kind of struggled in the more towards the second half of the season. I think it's because he's been working back from that Tommy John in 2019. But I think having two seasons, healthy seasons under his belt will probably be positive, similar to Wheeler. He had those injuries with the Mets.
And he's 30. That's something we didn't even talk about. A lot of these pitchers who got a little less than we thought they would get, they're a little older. Bassett's obviously 34. Tyler Anderson's 33, I want to say. So we're getting a pitcher on the younger side. There's time there to figure it out. And hopefully he can develop into just a stable 3 is what I'm hoping for. A really good 4 I'd settle for. But, I mean, that's a pitcher you're happy to have in your rotation at the end of the day. That's the big picture.
Yeah, it seems pretty interchangeable. He could be him and Ranger at 3 and 4.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was the first move. That was a while ago now.
It was.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It took him a while to announce, though.
Yeah, it did. Recently, Craig Kimbrel. This is a little more controversial of a one because I've seen two sides of this coin. I've heard the arguments for him. I've heard the arguments against him. Deep down, I always felt like we were going to get one of these old closers who appears to be washed. It's an intriguing move because at this point we trust Dombrowski and his ability, Caleb Coffin's ability to get the best out of pitchers. We've done it time and time again. But this is a guy who's been just so up and down lately. We saw him in Chicago, I want to say it was 2 years ago. Lights out, absolutely lights out. He got traded to the White Sox, and they tried to make him a setup man, which was never going to work. He was terrible. And then he went to the Dodgers this past season, and up and down results. I mean, I sent you his Baseball Savant page. It's impossible to read. Like, you have no idea looking at that, like, if he's a good pitcher or a bad pitcher. His expected BA is, like, in the 99th percentile, but his hard hit rate's in, like, the 5th percentile. So there's something there. He's not the pitcher he used to be. He was arguably the best closer in baseball for a period there. Not expecting that. But if we can get Craig Kimbrel to solidify the closer role for this team, that forces Seranthony, Alvarado, Bilotti, Brogdon. That forces everybody down in the pecking order, and they're in less leverage spots, and they're in positions where they're going to feel more comfortable. Seranthony is probably the best setup man in baseball if he is a setup man. He's that good. And just to be able to have the flexibility of using those pitchers whenever we can in the game. Kimbrel, even though he's very up and down, he needs to be the closer. I think we're all in agreement there. Um, really? Okay. If he is the closer, though, being able to use the other pitchers wherever you want in the game, that's a weapon to have. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that.
I personally, I don't want to see him being the closer. Personally, his stuff is not effective enough at this point in his career. And I know he's making the most money in the bullpen, but the other guys have shown so much improvement, and their arms are just much more live because they're all in their 20s. So personally, I would like to see like Kimbrel in that 7th inning type role.
Okay, so
I don't know if it's realistic, but it's what I would like.
The problem that comes straight to the top of my head is that season with the Cubs, dude. I mean, he was really good for the Cubs in that first half. I don't have the stats here, but I'm talking like a mid-twos ERA. He got traded to the White Sox with Liam Hendricks, and he didn't look right at all the rest of the season. He's closed his whole life. It's going to be a process trying to get him mentally prepared for the other parts of the game. Not that it's more challenging, but it's a completely different mindset that some pitchers just can't get past once they close for so long. I'm not explaining it very well, but for some reason Craig Kimbrel couldn't get the job done when he went to the White Sox and looked like a completely different pitcher. I'm worried if we try to use him like that we're going to be let down. I'm curious because I have no idea how they're going to use him at the end of the day. I would love to know what Dombrowski said to him when they, sold him on the Phils.
Yeah, and you got to give the Phillies some credit. We haven't been able to say this much in the past 10 years, but the Phillies have been getting the best out of their pitchers. Some of these young guys in the bullpen, and then all down our rotation, just they've done a really good job of getting them with the right repertoire, throwing the right pitches in the right situations. And maybe that's what Kimbrel needs, just a little better guidance to get him back on track. I'm also super, super curious what they told him. I mean, did they say, like, you're our closer when they willingly know they have two relievers that are better closers than he is at this point? Dominguez and Alvarado right now are better pitchers.
You can make an argument a couple of guys are better than those.
Brogdon and Bellotti.
Yeah, you could make the argument at this point because Kimbrel he gets hit around a little too hard to feel comfortable within the closer's role. But that's the big signing we were all expecting out of the bullpen. We keep forgetting Matt Strahm too.
I like Matt Strahm.
Yeah, Matt Strahm's in that bullpen. He might be a better pitcher. A lot of guys down there. That leaves us with Bellotti, Brogdon, Strahm, Alvarado, Sir Anthony, Kimbrel. That seventh spot's going to be a little up in the air. I mean, you got Nick Nelson there. You got Sam Coonrod there. Christopher Sanchez might be in the mix for a long man role. Do you think we're done? Do you think we're done with the bullpen?
I think we are, unless they come up with some sort of trade. I don't. Maybe one that involves like a Christopher Sanchez or like a fringe type player, because we have a couple players that are kind of like that quadruple A now. They don't really get much time in the bigs, and there's no point of them being in AAA anymore. So, but if I had to guess, I think this is it.
Yeah, plus the payroll's starting to get up there. I don't think it's a huge hurdle now, but I know we were over the cap with Walker, and Kimbrel's another $10 million on that, so it's starting to add up. I mean, we're not the Mets here, but you should be conscious of that if you can. I'm speaking like it's my own money, but it's not.
Yeah, but I mean, we've all seen this. The Mets, like, I know they have all the money in the world, but it's not a great business model. I mean, they have to develop some of their own players. I mean, the Phillies learned that the hard way.
Yeah, definitely. I want to give some of the guys on this team a shot too, because I think there's some serious talent down there. Morales is another quadruple A guy who's got the stuff to be in that bullpen now. And McGarry, that's going to be thrown around for a while to come. A lot of names in the mix, and I'd just like to see us kind of mess around with that and see what we have. But that's been the last 3 weeks since we've talked. Thinking it's probably going to calm down here going forward, so we're going to have a little fun with this episode. Lineup construction, Johnny. It's been a hot topic here lately. Man, there's a million ways we can go with this lineup.
Yes, there is, and with the Harper absence, it does make things like really interesting because we are going to have to piece this together a little more diligently to make sure we get like power in the right spots.
Absolutely. So, just to outline what we kind of did here, I dove into the numbers a little bit, wanted to see how everybody hits in certain positions. And what I came up with is the attached. If you're not a finance major, this probably looks super confusing and overwhelming, but it's really not. I promise I tried to simplize it. Simplize it. Make it as simple as possible. Basically, what we have here, left column over here, Johnny, we have the spots in the order. We have three separate graphs here. This is the weighted runs created graph. This is average, just batting average, and this is OPS. There's some interesting trends here. Everybody had to have a minimum of 25 at bats in order to qualify. That's why you see some of these boxes are not filled in. And it was just eye opening, dude, to see. I wonder what they're looking at when they make this lineup because, for example, I mean, you're looking at Rhys Hoskins here. We'll get into like what we think it's going to be in a little bit, but Rhys Hoskins with a 188 weighted runs created plus out of the fifth spot seems like a super prototypical 5-hitter.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that they, it's all the numbers are right here. It's like, what are they looking at? Do you think?
I don't know, honestly. Maybe these are the numbers that when you construct a lineup, you should probably be looking at first. So I honestly don't know why he's been hitting second. And the two biggest things to me that stuck out when I looked at this was Hoskins and why isn't he hitting in the fifth hole? And then Stott should just stay in the 9 hole because he's excellent at it.
Yeah, let's just get into this now. Because the longer you look at this, the more confusing it might get.
Exactly.
Leadoff is probably the most heavily debated one here.
It is.
2 candidates, really. It's going to be Schwarber or Turner. You look at their weighted runs created plus or weighted runs created. Schwarber 122, Turner 121. OPS, Schwarber 840, Turner 841. This is a toss-up. I mean, it's not the biggest steal who we put here. You got to kind of think about how you want to be attacked by opposing teams. Trey Turner is just wreaks havoc on the bases. That's the biggest appeal of having him in the one spot. Having him on base in front of these names, you got to throw over now. You can't throw over 3 times. He's just going to run even more. And you're really going to have to pitch to the guys behind him if he's getting on base. As for Schwarber, he's comfortable there. He hit 46 home runs there. He rakes in the leadoff spot. It's the status quo. It worked all season. I can see why we keep him there. I can also see why we put Turner there. Where are you at with the leadoff spot?
Are we going to be doing this assuming the absence of Harper?
We are including Harper for this for the sake of this.
Okay, with Harper still in the lineup, I like keeping Schwarber in the one spot. You look at both their numbers in the one spot, and they're both phenomenal. They're very good leadoff hitters. So for that reason of keeping the status quo, I like Schwarber at 1. I never had a big issue with it. I know it's heavily debated, but the guy rakes, and I think it helps everyone relax having that big bat number 1.
I think I'm with you. I like the idea of having these guys just comfortable where they're hitting. It seems like the path of least resistance. If we do put Schwarber in that 1 spot, 2 spot becomes pretty clear. Where are we going Turner in the 2 spot here?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Turner's the clear option for the 2 spot, both for the left or right to start the game. You got to have him earlier in the lineup. He's a high contact hitter. He's kind of a prototypical 2-hitter. I could have said that for leadoff hitter, but he just fits the category of a guy who bats really near the top of the lineup. gets on base, and just he creates runs. That's the best way of putting it. You get him in good spots, and he's just going to run around the bases and give other guys pitches to hits, and uh, it just makes the most sense in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate. I know a lot of I've heard like stuff like people thinking if you have Schwarber in the 1 hole and Turner in the 2 hole, it'll be worse like base running wise because you'd have Schwarber running like more often rather than Turner. But people don't give Schwarber enough credit. He's actually kind of a fast guy, and with Schwarber hitting 2, you might see more strikeouts or home runs, not necessarily extra base hits. So for that reason, I still stick with him at 2. Sorry.
It's interesting looking at Schwarber's numbers out of the 2 spot. 134 weighted runs created, 865 OPS. I do like the idea of having Turner ahead of Schwarber in terms of assuming they both get on base. Turner's the lead runner. If you put Schwarber in front of Turner on the bases, it kind of clogs Turner up a little bit, if you know what I mean. He can't just run for days if Schwarber's holding him up in front of him. So that is interesting. But like you said, I mean, this is the most logical way to go with this. Let people debate all they can. But Schwarber Turner should be the 1-2. Third, not much of a debate either. You put your best hitter in the 3 spot. Everybody here knows our best hitter. Bryce Harper should be batting 3.
You won't hear an argument from me.
9. It's funny looking at Bryce's numbers. He breaks in every spot.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it is worth saying that his OPS is the best out of the 3 spot. Couple guys hit pretty well out of the 3 spot, but with the way we're constructing this lineup, it makes the most sense. I do see a world where they kind of continue to put Bryce in that 4 spot. Kind of like how our playoff lineup was constructed. We had Schwarber, righty. That would be Turner, JT, and then Harper in the cleanup spot. I don't know if that's really necessary here. I think that was just kind of the lineup that was working. So that's the lineup that we should just continue to throw out there. But something just feels right about Bryce Harper in the 3 spot.
Yeah, I never like when they put him in the 4 hole. I think Girardi did a little bit, like more than Thompson has done it. But I hate seeing him in the 4 hole. His natural home has always felt like the 3 spot even when he was in the Nationals.
Yeah, definitely. So we got Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce. Cleanup. Where do you want to go with cleanup? Because I don't know if you're looking at this,
2 options.
This bottom chart down here.
I am.
Alec Bohm with a 1,000 OPS in the cleanup spot. Did you see that coming?
No, when you sent me this, I was like, holy shit. Boehmer in the 4 spot is, I think, might be the most intriguing thing for the Phillies right now. Because I think the Phillies have a lot of confidence in his ascension as a hitter, and something about a high contact, high hard hit rate guy hitting the 4 hole behind 3 of the best hitters in the National League sounds like a beautiful idea.
Yeah, Alec Bohm had that spot his first year when he came up. Did we stick him behind Bryce?
We did.
Yeah, and I remember him doing pretty well. And once Bryce went down this year, we stuck him in the middle of the lineup, and the guy hits. He seems to kind of just hit wherever you put him, but you look at the drop off from 4th to 5th. I mean, there's got to be something there, right? Like he psychologically, he might just like hitting in that big run producing spot.
It might just be the clutch factor, because then you look at the clear other option, JT Realmuto, and he also has to drop off from the 4th spot to the 5th spot with his OPS, but not nearly as huge as Alec Bohm's. That is it's like 500 points.
No, that's insane. But I mean, with all this being said, I think that the likely scenario here is JT batting cleanup. I mean, you look, he has the his highest OPS in the cleanup spot. You just look at the rest of the lineup. He seems like the most logical fit. Rhys Hoskins, who fits the mold of a prototypical cleanup hitter, has never really, settled into the cleanup role, no matter how much we thought he would. We never really put him there. And I mean, if you're looking at JT's drop off from fourth to fifth, just stick him there. He seems to like it there, and those two back to back, Harper and JT, works as we saw in the postseason. I like the left right combo. It's clear to me.
I mean, it's a nightmare to have to do a left-right combo of Schwarber Turner, left-right combo of Harper Realmuto. It's very hard to approach as a pitcher. That's brutal.
Yeah, the left right thing doesn't seem to be Thompson's MO. He doesn't seem to care as much.
No, because I think we have a lot of players that don't really have like lopsided left-right stats.
Bryce Harper
splits. Yeah, and some of the guys in the bottom of the lineup like Stoddy.
Yeah, definitely. Fifth spot. We kind of covered this already. Rhys Hoskins needs to be batting fifth. A 188 weighted runs created is insane. Bryce Harper, his MVP year was like 170. I don't know why he hits so well in this spot. I wish I had the sample size here, but it's at least 25 at bats. So that's something. He's going to produce a lot of runs in this spot. A lot of guys are going to be on base for him. And with the hitter he's developed into, less of a get on base guy, more of a hit ball hard, hit ball far guy. He could do some serious damage out of the 5 spot.
Yeah, those numbers are. I really didn't expect those, not even close. And I personally, before seeing this chart and really doing a ton of research, I would have wanted Castellanos or Stott in that 5-hole just because last year our lack of balance and our strikeout bats were lined up. A lot of our right-handed strikeout bats, and it got infuriating, especially in the World Series. But with numbers like those and the power he brings, you can't really slide him further down the lineup.
Definitely. Rhys Hoskins at the 5 spot. Johnny, I have some serious problems batting Rhys Hoskins and Nick Castellanos back to back. I don't know if I can put him behind him. Would you agree that that's just a disaster waiting to happen?
Yeah, it's brutal because those two will strike out probably between 25 and 30% of the time. Maybe they go below that. I doubt it. But yeah, that is. I don't know, because then you look at the only 2 lefties left. You got Stott and Marsh, and I wouldn't put either of them until maybe Marsh in the 7th. So I think I think Castellanos has to go there, or he hits an 8-hole.
I hate pushing Castellanos down because he's a veteran guy. Clearly, Thompson doesn't like pushing him down either. That's why we saw him bat behind Bryce Harper all playoffs when there's clearly a better option. With that being said, I think Bryson Stott should bat 6th. And it's really weird for me to say that because, you have Nick Castellanos, who's, the grizzled veteran, and you have Alec Boehm, who's a little more proven than Bryson Stott. But Bryson Stott hits well out of the spot, 800 OPS, 126 weighted runs created. He has the gift of being a lefty, which is huge in the spot. I love throwing a lefty between Rhys and whichever righty we put after him, whether that be Boehm or Castellanos. And I think there's more in the tank for Stotty. I think he can develop into a really well-rounded hitter, and I think his home might be a little more up in the lineup than he's hit so far. He's clearly got the skills, and he clearly grew a lot last season. I don't know. I kind of like him here, 6th spot.
I'm on board with that completely because I really don't think Bryson Stott's numbers last year accurately portrayed the player who he is. I think we're going to see him really lower his strikeout rate, increase his walk rate, be a much better on-base OBP, OPS type of guy. I think the 6th spot makes sense. He He's a guy that has a very good approach at the plate, which is well needed when you have Rhys Hoskins, when you're separating Rhys Hoskins and Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's probably not going to be the decision that he makes, Thompson, and it's not going to be something that fans. You don't think that he would choose to have a veteran up in that sixth spot? You don't think he'd just leave Casty there just for the heck of it?
I know he's a veteran, and I think we all expect to bounce back, but I think we have to look at our downfalls of last season, and we struck out a lot as a team. And if we can put a guy like Bryson Stott to stop the bleeding, we have to do it.
No, I agree. I'm with you on that. I think we're both in agreement that Bryson Stott fits in that sixth spot. To put it bluntly, I mean, if the game's on the line, I feel just as well, if not better, with Bryson Stott coming up to bat than Nick Castellanos. And I never thought I'd be saying that. I mean, especially in year 2 of this deal.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought Bryson Stott would become the man. So, but I thought Castellanos would definitely be hitting the top 5 of the lineup right now.
7-8 spot. We know which 2 names are going to go here. It just comes down to what order. I think it needs to be Nick Castellanos, Alec Bohm. I'm strictly looking at the numbers here, and for some reason, Alec Bohm can't hit in the 7th spot. His OPS is 300 points lower. No idea why. But I mean, that weighted runs created, it's almost 80 points apart. Like, what? The whole data thing just drives me nuts because it doesn't always explain everything that you need to know. But what it is explaining is Alec Bohm breaks in the 8th spot. And, Nick Castellanos, it's getting down in the lineup, and we got to bat him somewhere. So I go Cassie and then Bohm in the 8th spot. And I wish Bohm had a home a little earlier in this lineup. I want to get him as many at-bats as I can and as many run-producing opportunities. But, I mean, this lineup's deep, and it's not a knock on him. It's more of a testament to everybody in front of him.
Exactly. And it does feel disrespectful putting Castellanos and Bohm 7 and 8. But, I mean, if you want to bring either of them up to the 5 spot, Hoskins has to go down, and he's a guy that would be disrespectful to as well. So you can't please them all here, and it's a good issue to have. We have a loaded lineup, and I'm pretty sure there's a stat out there that Bohm hits really well behind Castellanos.
Baseball's weird.
Baseball is weird.
Baseball's really weird. I think Bohm can cut. Go ahead.
That's Alec Bohm's favorite player, so maybe that has something to do with it.
That's true. I mean, it's not like he's ever really hitting with Castellanos on base. I mean, he usually just gets out, goes back to the dugout, and then Alec Bohm comes up. So
he does something good.
Yeah, and then does something good. But I feel good having really a high-quality hitter down there at the bottom of the lineup. It kind of reminds me of how we used Gene this year.
Mm-hmm.
You get towards the bottom of the lineup and Gene's down there somewhere. You feel good about it. A good contact hitter who can kind of just handle himself at the plate really well. I think that's what Bohm would do if we throw him down here in this 8th spot. And, I think Castellanos has room to move up, but until he shows anything this year, we got to bury him down here towards the bottom. It's just the way it has to be.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that could change throughout the year if he improves, but I think it's the best spot, and that leads us to number 9, which is Marshy.
Marshy, kind of a second leadoff hitter type here. It's a little. I don't like having Marsh and Schwarber back to back, but I don't think you worry about that too much when you kind of design a lineup like this. He's growing at the plate. He gets on base. He can run a little bit. And at the end of the day, there's 8 really good hitters ahead of him. This is a spot. That's where he's going to be. And that's probably the only one I'm sure of at the end of the day.
Yeah, he is low man. There's no debate about it. And it's actually kind of exciting to have a guy with a little bit of pop hitting behind Bohm. I think Marsh, if improvements are made, is a very strong WOBA type of player, as the kids say. And yeah, I think anyone hitting in front of Kyle Schwarber is more likely to get pitches to hit.
Absolutely. So with that being said, the official double switch lineup. I don't know if you want to advertise this on our Twitter or I guess I could write an article about this and explain how we came up with it. Schwarber,
yeah, we'll drop it in some fashion.
Yeah, definitely. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, JT, Hoskins, Stott, Castellanos, Bohm, and Brandon Marsh is the official double switch lineup. Without Bryce Harper, who cares? We'll worry about that later.
Yeah, well, I don't even like thinking about the team without Harper right now, so I'm gonna
let's just pretend that. Yeah, let's pretend we won't ever have to sit through a time without Harper. We'll just be in denial the whole first half of the season.
Exactly.
Well, that went surprisingly well for my first time presenting. Let me take this off the screen. Oh, yeah, real quick, couple interesting lines I just wanted to point out. Castellanos really good in the 2 spot. Does that interest you at all?
No. We have way too many good options here.
Really good in the cleanup spot too.
That I would consider definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Schwarber really good in the cleanup spot. I see the argument there. People are going to probably demand that all season as he's hitting home runs, solo home runs. But I don't know. I mean, if he doesn't want to hit there, but he hits really well there, like what should we take away from that?
I don't know, but I think there'll be times where without Harper, where we might not have a choice. We might just need that lefty. We don't have that many power lefty bats that are reliable, so Schwarber might have to. Because we do have a lot of good right-handed hitters that could hit in the top 3.
Yeah, I thought for a second when I found out Schwarber didn't like, or he liked hitting leadoff, I thought it might mean that he liked it because he could hit in lower stress situations. You come up on base, and there's usually not people on. You're leading off the game. He can kind of avoid those big run producing opportunities and play and hit a little looser. But then I see his numbers in the cleanup spot, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know how he can think that way, but I mean, that's up to him, obviously.
Yeah, I don't really understand the whole idea of him not wanting to hit anywhere else, but comfortability with these players, I guess, is important, and consistency.
Baseball's weird.
It's a strange game that sometimes makes very little sense.
Got anything else? I kind of hit everything I wanted to hit on this episode.
No, I'm excited we got to look at the lineup. It gets me a little excited for the season. I booked my flight to spring training. I'll be there March 16th. Yeah, I got invited from family friends. I'm going to tag along, be a 6-wheel.
We might have to do a live episode from you in spring training.
Absolutely.
If you're cool with that.
I'm sure whoever's still listening at this point knows that me and Josh aren't the go live type of personalities, but being in Clearwater, Florida brings out the best of me. I love that place, and I love just warm baseball in Florida. It's great. And
if you're a Phillies fan and you haven't had the opportunity to go to Clearwater yet, you have to make it a point. It is just the most to sit through the cold New Jersey winter and then go down to Clearwater, Florida. Which is a beautiful beach. It's a pretty nice town, and to watch Phillies baseball in the sunshine, in the 70s and the 80-degree weather, there's just nothing like it, and it's a quick cure to seasonal depression.
Absolutely, it rejuvenates the soul and gets you very thrilled for baseball season.
That's for sure. So we have that coming up. Spring training is actually not that far away, which is crazy to say.
Nope.
2023, right around the corner. Moving on to year 2 of the Double Switch podcast. All kinds of new content coming your way. Anything else?
No, just keep looking out, guys, for some new articles, and maybe we'll do some fun type episodes while the hot stove is cold.
Yeah, and trivia time is coming back. We swear. One of these episodes, we will have trivia time again. I know people like trivia time, so we will make it a point to do that. And with that being said, I mean, thank you guys for listening. If you're into the Sixers, Eagles, other Philly sports, check out Pick Swap Media. They have all kinds of good content for those teams. And we will talk to you soon. I mean, bi-weekly, so a couple weeks into January, you'll be hearing from us, and who knows what kind of Phillies news we're going to have on the way.
Who knows? That's right. Go Fightins, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care.